Hello and welcome to Aniview Weekly, episode 28. Today on the show, we're doing our winter preview for the year 2010.
So, for those uninitiated to our usual previews, how we did this was that we watched at least 3 episodes of all the series we're going to be talking about, except for in the case of one where we've only watched 2 episodes. But in general, we tried to watch 3 episodes, and we decided how good or not it was. We dropped some, we kept going with some, but basically, we're going to tell you our review explicitly on those first 3 episodes of all those series.
Alright, now as usual, there are certain series that come out every season that we ourselves can't watch. For example, some are sequels to other series. So there are 4 shows that we didn't check out because they are specifically sequels to series that we haven't seen. So those 4 are Qwaser the Animation, Gag Manga Biori Plus, Hidamari Sketch, X Triple Star, the 3rd season of Hidamari Sketch, and Heartcatch Precure. So we're not going to be talking about those today because we don't know those series, so they kind of got left out.
Alright, so we'll get right into it, and we're going to be starting with Sora no Woto.
Okay, so Sora no Woto is made by A1 Pictures, and it's a comedy slice-of-life sci-fi, and it follows the story of a young girl named Kanta who has recently decided to join the army. However, her intentions for joining the army are not what you would think. Her whole goal is that she wants to learn how to play music. She wants to become a bugler in the army. So, in the first episode, you see her, she's joining this new platoon, and she meets her sort of mentor named Rio, and she's a fantastic bugler. And it's sort of just a very slice of life, them dealing with a situation that she's been put into. They're kind of in this rural town on the borders of this sort of war that's happening in this world. And it just follows these total of 5 girls in the army and their sort of lifestyle that they have to deal with.
Yeah, I was really hyped up for the show when it first was coming out and we were looking at it, and it's because it had a sort of different feel to it. It's music and army and sci-fi all sort of intertwined into one, and yet it's a slice of life. So I was interested to see what it was, and I wasn't expecting something much different than something like K-On! Or Beck, for example. And the thing was, I'm not sure it's as good as K-On! Going into it in these first 3 episodes. It has different aspects to it, more interesting, but it has this animation style that's very similar to K-On! And characters that are very similar to K-On!'s characters. So this whole idea, it more just feels like a sort of underrated version or a worse version of K-On! All over it, and I just seen it. So all of that combined, it's making the series a little bit underwhelming for the hype that I was giving it.
Yeah, for me, I kind of felt the same way. This is like K-On!, but you take the girls out of the school and now they're in some war-torn army area. But I loved K-On!, and I'm loving this. It's a little bit more subtle. It's not as crazy silly as K-On! was, and I'm hoping the direction I'm looking for this show is I want to go to a more dramatic area. They're kind of hinting at that within the first 3 episodes, and I'd like to see that because it's a platoon of 5 girls and they're in this war. They're kind of shunned aside because nothing's really happening right now, but I'm expecting to see it happen where these girls have to maybe possibly go out and fight in combat, and dramatic events will happen. So that's what I want to see from this series. Right now, I still like it. I think it's really solid, and I loved K-On!. If you loved K-On!, you gotta check out this series because it's very similar. It's almost the exact same thing. Yeah,
if I was to predict the show's sort of structures, what I think is going to happen is it's going to stay very, very slice of life, and the hopeful, good conclusion would be for those last, 2 or 3 episodes to be some huge climactic moment of drama doing with the war, maybe them having to be split up or something like that. And so, that's what interests me about the series, so I'm actually really looking forward to seeing further, but so far I haven't been overwhelmingly impressed. I've just enjoyed it for what it is.
Okay, so as an initial verdict for Sora no Woto, would you say pick it up or leave it be?
I would definitely say to pick it up. It's one of those shows where I think that it would be better if you wait until the whole series is complete and hear some reviews about it, because if the ending isn't that spectacular, I'm not sure watching the whole show is worth it. But for now, stick with it if you're looking for a series to watch this season.
For me, I'd say pick it up right now. I'd keep going with it. It's very fun, very kind of bubbly. If you like those types of anime, definitely check it out. But I would say, if you're kind of on the fence, if you're not sure if you're going to like it, I'd do what Lizel says and wait to the end of the series and hear what other people think about it and see if there's that awesome dramatic ending. But for now, I'm going to keep going with it.
Alright, so the next series on our list is one called Chu-bra, and it's made by the studio Zexus, and it's a comedy series. It follows a girl who is in love with underwear and undergarments for girls. She has a stepbrother who makes undergarments himself, so she has become a model for him, and so tries out all sorts of different undergarments. Now, she loves undergarments so much and feels that other people don't appreciate them that she has created the Undergarment Appreciation Society. And the story goes on from there.
Yeah, in regards to Chu-bra, just with the plot alone, you kind of have an idea of where this story is going, and it is an anime that is kind of loaded with fan service. But an interesting thing with this, though, is that the fan service is structured into the storyline. It's actually an intricate part of the storyline that it doesn't seem as bad, and I wasn't as disturbed or, pissed off that there was so much fan service in the series. Because it's actually important, I kind of thought it was okay.
I completely agree with that point. That's what I thought with the series. I mean, it's not an original story, it's not very interesting, and you probably shouldn't watch it, but at least they're not trying to trick you, which I get really annoyed with a lot of these harem stuff like that. They make it seem like they have some crazy sci-fi plot on the side or fantasy plot, when it's all about just, guys and girls showing off their stuff and everything like that. So I'm glad that they really stuck with the premise that makes sense for that kind of story.
Mm-hmm. Another thing I just found kind of cool, though, is that the main character, Nayu, she is a female role who is all goo-goo over her panties, where usually it's a male role. So this was kind of unique for me in a sense that they actually took a different lead for this sort of role. But still, it's just not a very good show overall. I'd say check out the first episode just to see kind of how kooky and crazy the plot really is. But other than that, you're not going to get a whole lot of the series.
So are you going to drop it or say pick it up?
All right, well, I wouldn't say pick it up, but I'm actually going to stick with the series for now at least. I'm going to go past episode 3. I don't know how much longer it'll last, just because of the fact that it is kind of weird and kind of different, and I kind of want to see where it goes with this whole club idea.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend just not checking out this series. I don't think it's worth it in any way. Unless even if you're into those fan service ones, it's kind of even generic for those. So interesting, but generic in almost all levels.
Up next, we have a series called Ladies vs. Butlers, and this is made by Zebek, and it's a romantic comedy ecchi series. Now, this series tells the story of a guy named Akiharu. Akiharu has just recently been accepted into this very prestigious school where he's going to learn to become a butler. But the school is not just for teaching people how to become butlers and maids. It's a split classroom where the nobles and children of very rich individuals go to attend high school. Now, of course, in typical ecchi fashion, this isn't going to be easy for Akiharu, because on the first day of school, he trips over a young girl named Selena Flameheart, who just happens to be a very, very angry noble. And just so happens he fondles her breasts. And the series from there goes on with her sort of torturing and making his life at school highly miserable.
Alright, so yeah, it's another one of those ecchi series. And this one really focuses on the breast fondling and the head into panties type one. So it's a little bit more hardcore on the ecchi sides rather than the fan service sides. I like how they have these divisions that we've sort of clarified in these different series. But again, it's a pretty bad series overall. The story is miserably bad, and all you're getting is not even panty shots. You're getting more right into the breasts parts with amazing boob physics going on.
Mm-hmm. Boob physics everywhere. I mean, this series almost pulls no punches even with its nudity. There are some scenes where you have full-on breast shots right there in front of you, and it's not even tempting you. It's right there. You get the full picture. But aside from that, there really is nothing in this show. All it is angry chick, trying to make, the innocent guy, his life hell. And from there, it's just, fan service moment after fan service moment. Oh, I accidentally fell into you. Oh, I accidentally touched you. And it's just, there's nothing. It's the same as any other ecchi harem series that you've seen 100 million times before. There really is nothing here.
Yeah, so we'll just get on to our verdict with this one. And I'm going to say that it's definitely a quick drop one. I mean, I think it's actually probably the worst of the ecchis this season, just because it is just so much into its ecchi and doesn't have much of a plot beyond that at all.
Yeah, I'm same here. Don't even go for it. I dropped episode 3. Not worth your time whatsoever.
Alright, so we'll move on to the next one on our list, and that is Baka to Test to Shōkanjū, or Idiots and Tests and Summoned Beings. So, this series is made by the studio Silverlink, and it's a romantic comedy fantasy series. It follows the story of a very interesting school. In it, the classes are divided from A to F, and these classes each have a different level of comfort and sort of prestige to them. The A-level classes live in absolute luxury with escalators taken to them to their classes, absolutely beautifully ornate, everything basically, and just the highest level of technology and way of life. Whereas as you go down the letters, it gets worse and worse, all the way down to F class, which lives in absolute horror of broken desks and no utensils, barely a chalkboard on the board, and they're all crammed into this one small little classroom. But the thing is about this is if you do well on your tests, you're able to destroy the other classrooms and move up levels by fighting in summoned being battles. And that's the premise of Baka to Testo Shōkanjū.
Yeah, so it's a bit crazy, but surprisingly, it's kind of fun. I mean, you have this, like, your main characters are the F class, and their whole goal is they want to, not live in this sort of crap hole anymore. And it is kind of funny. The main cast are all quirky. They all have their own sort of things about them that just make you kind of laugh. And the interesting aspect is that one of the main characters in their class is actually one of the smartest kids in the school, because in her sort of initial test, she flunked out because she was sick. She passed out. She couldn't do her test, so she's been shoved into F class. And she's kind of like their one-way ticket in to try to raise the ranks and become an A class. And that's what it is. That's what you get from this series.